They called them dangerous before anyone ever asked why they were hurting. They called her unqualified before she ever opened her mouth. The night Monica Reed walked into a billionaire's mansion, she didn't expect to be welcomed. She expected suspicion, judgment, the same cold stares she had known her entire life as a black woman who grew up with nothing. But what she didn't expect was to be met by 3 6-year-old boys with eyes full of rage and terror. Children already labeled monsters by a world that never stopped to listen. Inside that perfect house was a silence thick with grief, guilt, and fear. A father drowning in shame, 3 broken hearts screaming for help, and one woman standing at the center of it all, knowing that if she stayed, the world would come for her. Because sometimes choosing love doesn't just cost your comfort, it costs your reputation, your safety, and everything you thought you could protect. And if you stay until the end, you'll witness the moment that shattered the lies and changed all of their lives forever. The first thing Monica Reed noticed when she stepped through the iron gates of the Harper estate was how quiet everything felt. Too quiet. The kind of silence that didn't mean peace but tension, like a house holding its breath before something breaks. She tightened her grip on the strap of her worn leather bag and walked up the long driveway. The mansion rose in front of her, flawless and cold, every window spotless, every hedge trimmed to perfection. It was the kind of place people assumed safety lived in, the kind of place people assumed pain never touched. They were wrong. Before Monica could even knock, the front door flew open with a loud bang. A toy truck shot past her feet and slammed into the marble wall behind her. "We don't want you here!" The shout came from a small boy, no older than 6, his face flushed with anger. Behind him stood 2 identical boys, their blue eyes burning with the same mix of fear and rage. Paint streaked the walls. A shattered picture frame lay on the floor. Feathers from ripped pillows drifted through the air like snow. Monica froze for half a second, not in fear, but recognition. She had seen this before, not in mansions, in group homes, in foster kitchens, in places where children learn very young that if they didn't scare people away, they would be left behind anyway. "I'm Evan," the tallest boy yelled, stepping forward like he was protecting his brothers. "And this is Caleb and Owen, and you're not staying." Daniel Harper appeared behind them, his suit jacket rumpled, his tie loosened. He looked nothing like the billionaire the news loved to photograph. He looked tired, broken, guilty. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "They've had a rough morning." Monica met his eyes. She saw what no one else ever seemed to see in men like him. Not power, not money, but grief layered so deep it had started to rot. "It's okay," she said calmly. Daniel blinked. "Most people don't say that." "That's because most people don't mean it," Monica replied. The boys stared at her, confused. Adults usually yelled, threatened, quit. Monica did none of those things. Instead, she stepped over broken toys and crouched down until she was eye level with them. "I'm not here to replace your mom," she said softly, "and I'm not here to boss you around." Evan narrowed his eyes. "Then why are you here?" Monica swallowed. This was the moment, the one that always mattered. "Because I know what it feels like when your whole world disappears," she said, "and because I don't scare easily." Caleb scoffed. "Everyone says that. Then they leave?" Monica nodded. "Yeah, they usually do." That honesty landed harder than any promise. Daniel watched from the doorway, his chest tightening. 17 nannies. 17 people who had lasted days, sometimes hours. Every one of them had blamed the boys. None of them had asked why. 6 months earlier, his wife Laura had kissed the boys goodbye before driving out to run a quick errand. She never came home. The accident had made headlines for a day. The grief had lasted forever. The boys blamed him. He blamed himself. And the world blamed the children. "Daddy's gonna fire you," Owen muttered. Monica looked at him gently. "Maybe, but not today." That was when Evan did it. He grabbed a glass of water from the table and threw it at her chest. Cold water soaked through her blouse, dripping onto the marble floor. Daniel stepped forward. "Evan!" Monica raised her hand. "It's okay." Her voice was steady, but inside something twisted. Not because of the water, because she had seen that look before. The look of a child daring you to prove them right about how disposable they were. She stood up slowly. "If you're trying to scare me away," she said, "you'll have to do better than that." Owen's mouth fell open. Caleb looked almost impressed. Evan's face crumpled for just a second before he hardened it again. "You're gonna leave anyway." Monica took off her wet cardigan and placed it over a chair. "I grew up in foster care," she said quietly. "My parents died when I was 7. I moved houses so many times I stopped unpacking. Every time I liked someone, they disappeared." The boys went silent. "I learned something," Monica continued. "The kids who act the worst are usually the ones who are hurting the most." Daniel felt his throat burn. Monica turned to him. "Mr. Harper, may I stay today?" He nodded, unable to speak. What Daniel didn't know was that the moment Monica Reed had answered his job ad, the comments had already started online. Why would a billionaire hire a black nanny with no fancy credentials? Another diversity stunt. Those kids need discipline, not feelings. Monica knew those comments well. She had lived under them her entire life. By noon, the kitchen looked like a disaster zone again. But this time, something was different. The boys were laughing. Monica had turned a syrup spill into a joke, a broken plate into a lesson about accidents not meaning failure. Daniel watched from a distance, uneasy. Not because things were bad, but because they were working. His phone buzzed. It was his lawyer. "Daniel," Anthony Blake said urgently, "the press is running a story tonight. They're calling your son's uncontrollable, dangerous, and they're already digging into the new nanny." Daniel's blood ran cold. "What kind of digging?" "She's black," Anthony said carefully, "and they're framing it like you hired someone unqualified out of desperation. It won't be kind." Daniel looked at the kitchen. Monica was sitting on the floor, helping Owen stack blocks into a small, shaky tower. For the first time in months, his sons looked safe. He walked toward them, heart pounding. Monica looked up and saw his face. She knew that look too. "What's wrong?" she asked. Daniel hesitated. "If you want to leave, I'd understand." Monica stood slowly. "Are your sons bad kids?" "No," he said immediately. "They're hurting." "Then that's the story that matters," she replied. "And I'm not leaving." Outside the mansion, the world was already sharpening its knives. Inside, 3 broken little boys were learning, dangerously bravely, how to trust again. And Monica Reed was about to discover that loving them would cost her more than she ever expected. Before we move on, let me ask you something. Do you think Monica should stay, knowing the media and public judgment are about to turn against her? Yes or no? Answer honestly in your heart, because what happens next will force every one of those questions into the open. By the next morning, Monica Reed knew the world had shifted. She just didn't know how violently yet. It started with silence. No honking cars outside the Harper estate, no delivery trucks, no cheerful chatter from neighbors walking their dogs past the gates. Just her phone buzzing nonstop on the kitchen counter while Evan, Caleb, and Owen sat unusually quiet at the table, picking at their cereal. Monica glanced at the screen. Unknown number, unknown number, unknown number. Then one notification slipped through, sharp and unforgiving. Local news. Tonight, billionaires' out-of-control sons drive away 17 nannies. Desperate hire raises questions. Her chest tightened. Daniel stood by the sink, gripping his coffee mug like it was the only thing keeping him upright. He had barely slept. When the story broke overnight, it didn't trickle, it exploded. Comment sections flooded with judgment. Those kids are spoiled monsters. Why does he let a black nanny handle children like that? This is what happens when feelings replace discipline. She won't last a week. Monica didn't need to read the comments to know what they said. She had lived her entire life under the weight of assumptions made before she ever opened her mouth. "Daddy," Owen whispered, "are they talking about us again?" Daniel knelt beside him immediately. "Yes, but they're wrong." Caleb frowned. "They always say that. Then people leave." Monica set down her phone. "Hey," she said gently, "come sit with me." The boys hesitated, then slid off their chairs and gathered around her on the kitchen floor like they had the night before. It was becoming a pattern, one Daniel noticed with both gratitude and fear. Fear because patterns could be broken. "I want you to hear this from me," Monica said, her voice calm but steady. "Some people don't understand pain. They see behavior and call it bad. They see grief and call it weakness." Evan's jaw clenched. "They think we're broken." Monica met his eyes. "They're wrong." Daniel felt something twist inside him. He had said those words before, but when Monica said them, they carried weight. Conviction, lived truth. The doorbell rang. Daniel froze. Through the iron gate, a news van idled. A reporter stood outside, camera already rolling, microphone angled toward the mansion like a weapon. Daniel's phone rang again. It was Anthony Blake. "They're escalating," Anthony said urgently. "They've dug into Monica's background. Foster care. No college degree. They're framing her as unqualified and irresponsible." Monica closed her eyes for a brief second. There it was. Not just judgment, but strategy. "They're also pushing a narrative," Anthony continued, "that you hired her because she's cheap and compliant." Daniel felt his face burn with shame and rage. "That's disgusting." "It gets worse," Anthony said. "Child Welfare Services received anonymous complaints overnight." Daniel's knees went weak. "What kind of complaints?" "That your home is unstable, that your children are unsafe." The boys looked up at him, fear flickering across their faces like a spark catching dry grass. "Are they going to take us away?" Owen asked, his voice barely audible. "No," Daniel said too quickly. "No one is taking you anywhere." But Monica saw his hands shaking. She stood. "Daniel," she said quietly, "may I speak?" He nodded. Monica knelt in front of the boys again. "Listen to me. No matter what happens outside this house, what matters most is what we know inside it." Caleb sniffed. "But what if they don't believe us?" Monica swallowed. "Then we tell the truth anyway." Outside, the reporter's voice grew louder. "Daniel Harper, how do you respond to accusations that your children are violent and uncontrollable?" Daniel took a step toward the door, anger rising like a storm. Monica stopped him. "Don't," she said firmly. "Not like this." He stared at her. "They're lying." "Yes," she said. "And they want you angry. They want a headline." She turned back to the boys. "Do you trust me?" 3 small nods. "Then go upstairs and build the castle we talked about," she said softly. "The one for your mom." Evan hesitated. "Will you be here when we come back?" Monica smiled, though her heart was pounding. "I'm not going anywhere." As the boys disappeared up the stairs, Daniel looked at her in disbelief. "They're targeting you," he said. "You don't have to stay." Monica's voice was steady, but her eyes burned. "I've been targeted my whole life. Being black, being poor, being raised by the system. People decide who you are before you ever speak." She took a breath. "But those boys need someone who won't disappear the moment things get ugly." The knock came again, this time harder. "Daniel Harper," a woman's voice called. "This is Child Welfare Services." Daniel's heart dropped. At the door stood Ms. Patricia Collins, clipboard in hand, expression neutral but guarded. "We've received multiple reports," she said. "We need to assess the safety and emotional stability of the children." Daniel opened his mouth to argue, but Monica stepped forward. "Please," Monica said. "Come in." Ms. Collins paused, eyes flicking over Monica, from her natural hair to her plain blouse, taking in every detail. "You are?" she asked. "Monica Reed," Monica replied. "I'm the caregiver." Ms. Collins raised an eyebrow. "How long have you been employed here?" 2 days. The silence that followed was heavy. Ms. Collins scribbled something on her clipboard. 2 days. That was all it took for the world to decide Monica didn't belong. As Ms. Collins toured the house, cameras flashed outside. Headlines updated in real time. "Black nanny can't control billionaire's damaged sons." Social services step in. Upstairs, the boys huddled together, whispering. "She's gonna leave," Owen said. "She won't," Evan replied, but his voice wavered. Back downstairs, Ms. Collins folded her arms. "These children have been described as dangerous," she said coolly. "Why should I believe otherwise?" Monica looked her straight in the eye. "Because you're seeing grief," she said, "not violence." Ms. Collins scoffed lightly. "That's your opinion." "No," Monica said firmly. That's my experience. And theirs. She gestured toward the staircase. If you give them time, real time, you'll see children who are scared, not broken. Ms. Collins hesitated. Then she said the words that made Daniel's stomach drop. We'll be scheduling a full evaluation. After she left, the house felt colder. Daniel sat at the table, head in his hands. I did this to them, he whispered. My name, my money, my silence. Monica sat across from him. No, she said. What's hurting them is a world that confuses discipline with love and difference with danger. Upstairs, a crash echoed, then a small voice. Monica? She stood instantly. 3 boys ran down the stairs, wrapping their arms around her legs like they were holding on to the only solid thing left. Please don't leave, Owen cried. Monica knelt and pulled them close, her own eyes burning. I'm still here, she whispered. But what happens next? It's going to be hard. Outside, the headlines kept coming. Inside, a family stood on the edge of being torn apart, and Monica Reed was about to discover just how much the world would punish a black woman for loving children everyone else had given up on. The night after Child Welfare Services left, no one slept. Daniel sat at the kitchen table long after the lights were dimmed, staring at the same cold cup of coffee. Every headline replayed in his mind like a siren he couldn't shut off. He had spent his life believing money could insulate his family from the worst parts of the world. Now he understood how wrong that belief had been. Upstairs, Monica lay awake too. She listened to the quiet breathing of Evan, Caleb, and Owen from the hallway. They had insisted on leaving their doors open. A small thing, but meaningful. Children who had spent months pushing everyone away now needed to hear footsteps nearby to feel safe. Monica leaned against the wall and closed her eyes. She thought about the foster homes, the social workers who never stayed long enough to learn her favorite color. The way adults talked about her like she wasn't in the room. She had survived all of that, but loving these boys felt more dangerous than anything she had ever done, because this time leaving would break more than just her own heart. The next morning, Daniel made a decision that terrified him. He called Anthony Blake before sunrise. I want the truth out, Daniel said. All of it. Anthony hesitated. Daniel, once you do this, you can't control the narrative anymore. Daniel glanced toward the staircase, where Monica was helping the boys pack their school bags with quiet patience. I already lost control, he said. Now I want honesty. By noon, Daniel Harper was no longer hiding behind statements written by lawyers. He went live. Standing in the garden where Laura used to laugh with the boys, Daniel faced the camera with no script and no shield. My sons are not monsters, he said, his voice shaking. They are grieving children who lost their mother. He paused. And Monica Reed is not an experiment, a charity case, or a desperate hire. She is the first adult who chose to see my sons as human beings instead of headlines. The reaction was immediate. Some praised him. Others doubled down. But something shifted when Monica stepped into frame. Not invited, not announced, just standing beside him. I'm not here to defend myself, Monica said calmly. I'm here to defend 3 children who were labeled before they were understood. Her voice didn't rise, it didn't need to. When black women speak about care, people assume we're soft. When we set boundaries, they call us angry. But love isn't loud, and healing isn't neat. She looked directly into the camera. These boys don't need to be fixed. They need time, and people who won't disappear. That clip went everywhere, not because it was dramatic, but because it was true. 2 days later, Ms. Patricia Collins returned, alone this time. No clipboard, no cameras. She spent the entire day with the family. She watched Evan help Owen tie his shoes. She listened as Caleb explained, in careful words, how he still talked to his mom at night. She saw Monica sit on the floor during a meltdown, not rushing it, not silencing it, just staying. At dinner, Ms. Collins finally spoke. I've been doing this job for 23 years, she said quietly, and I've never seen children heal faster than when someone stays long enough to listen. Daniel's chest loosened for the first time in months. There will be no removal, she continued, and I'll be correcting the record. When she left, the boys didn't cry. They laughed. Weeks passed. The headlines softened, then changed, from out of control to unstoppable. How one family faced grief and one why we need to rethink how we judge Black caregivers. Daniel changed too. He stopped missing dinners, stopped hiding behind meetings. He learned how to sit with discomfort instead of running from it. One evening, as Monica helped the boys build a memory box for their mom, Daniel watched from the doorway. "You stayed," he said softly. Monica didn't look up. "I said I would." "I don't know how to thank you," she smiled gently. "By doing what you're doing now, showing up." Months later, the boys stood on a school stage, holding hands during a presentation about family. Owen spoke first. "Our mom lives in our hearts," Caleb added, "and Monica helps us remember the good things." Evan finished, voice steady. "Family is who stays." Daniel felt tears slide down his face, unashamed. A year later, the Harper Foundation opened its doors, focused on grief counseling, foster care reform, and supporting caregivers from marginalized communities. Monica became its director, not because she needed a title, but because she had earned a voice. On the anniversary of Laura's passing, the family visited her grave together. The boys placed flowers. Daniel stood back, letting Monica kneel beside them. "We're okay, Mom," Evan whispered. "We're safe." Monica squeezed their hands. Daniel realized then that healing hadn't erased the pain. It had taught them how to carry it, with dignity. That night, as Monica tucked the boys in, Owen looked up at her. "Are you really staying forever?" Monica smiled, brushing his hair back. "As long as you'll have me." Years later, people would tell this story like a miracle. But Monica knew better. There was no miracle, just a Black woman who refused to leave. Just a father who learned to listen. Just children who were finally allowed to grieve without being judged. And sometimes that is enough to change everything. Before we end, let me ask you something from the heart. How did this story make you feel? Do you think Monica did the right thing by staying when everything was against her? Did this story change the way you see children who act out or caregivers who are judged too quickly? If you felt something, comment 111 below. Tell us which country you're watching from. And if this story moved you, please share it, because stories like this deserve to be heard.